What's important to you? My mission is to ask as many people as possible this question, because I believe once you know what's important, you can design and build a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. My name is James Dean. I'm a life coach, and I hope this podcast inspires you to uncover what's important to you. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at James Dean Coaching, or connect with me on LinkedIn. You can also learn how I can help you understand what's important at jamesdeancoaching.com. In today's episode, my guest is a personal trainer and coach working out of FBT in Coolock, Dublin. He has an honours degree in sports management from UCD and is boasting an impressive portfolio of body transformations achieved with his clients less than 1 year into his personal training and transformation business built by Barry. In this episode, we find out what's important to Barry McGuire. Hello, Barry. Thank you and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, James, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Good. Glad you're here. So we're just going to go straight into this conversation. And the first question it's always going to be is, so what is important to you, Barry?
Yeah, that's an easy one, really, James. It's my health and happiness, and basically what I have to do on a daily basis to keep healthy, to keep happy.
Awesome. So if we were to look at them in two separate things, so if you go with the health first, what is it about your health that's so important to you?
It's the small things, really, to keep on top of the small things. It's not the sexy stuff. It's not the gym trying to get that PB on the bench. That's great. It's not getting us. It's really the small things, the unsexy stuff, the 10,000 steps every day, regardless of the weather. The lovely last couple of days we've had, and I got waterproof gear during lockdown. That was a major big win for me.
Yeah.
So I just get out, the 10,000 steps get done, 3 liters of water every day, hit my macros, hit that protein target primarily. Be social as much as I can, and basically helping people every day in the gym.
Cool. And when you say something like when it comes to health, I think there's definitely a sort of it's such an array of what people think of in the sense of health. So is there a sort of a link between, you say, the importance of your health and your happiness?
Yeah, they're both linked. Like, another one I forgot to mention there was the sleep.
Yeah.
That's another one, minimum 7 hours every night. They're both intertwined. Basically, You can't have one without the other. Like, you could have a 6-pack but feel terrible. You know what I mean? What's the point? And they talk about physical health and then your mental health, but to me, again, they're both intertwined. It's the same thing, really. You know what I mean? You can't, again, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger but feel terrible. What's the point? So, you know what I mean? For me, if I'm healthy, I'm happy. So that's it's massive for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make that, actually, because it's something I hoped we'd dive into as well, because obviously you're in the fitness industry, you're a personal trainer, you're working with people. I did that myself a few years ago. That's kind of before I got into coaching. I did a bit of PT as well. And one of the reasons, I suppose, I kind of have pulled away from PT itself, or the fitness industry, as me being a trainer, and moving more into coaching, is because I kind of felt, sometimes, it may be just me, but I kind of felt that the sort of fitness industry for me was still still focuses on sort of the numbers, on, as you say, either the PB or the inches or the weight or whatever it is. You're just talking about there, you mentioned it in sales, it's not just physical health, it's mental health. So do you bring that into not just yourself personally, but into your work as well?
100%, James. It's something I bring in with my clients, like the weekly check-in. I think a lot of people they don't fully understand what PTing is, and it could be based on their own experience of working with trainers where they just basically counted reps, had a bit of a laugh, off you go, see you later. But what I bring in is I basically give them a list of questions. It's not massive. It's about 10 questions every week to check in. I go rate your sleep out of 10, your hydration daily out of 10, your general energy levels, your mood, your stress levels. All those things are taken into account. Because remember a client coming to me before and he goes, man, my energy levels have been on the floor. I go, okay, send me on the screenshot of your MyFitnessPal for the last few days. He was eating little to no carbs. I was like, well, there you go, mate. And that's another branch off into people that are scared of carbs. But we won't go there for now. But it's those markers. It's those little things. Like even clients who came to me with depression.
Okay.
And then I even the check-in sheet would be specific to each client. So in his one, I asked how his mood was. And week on week, without the weight dropping too much, it was dropping, but the mood was going up and up and up every week. So that was absolutely massive. And that was like I was celebrating that absolutely every week. It was absolutely massive for him. So those are little things to look at instead of, you know what I mean? It's again, not the PB on the bench, not the big deadlift, not the inches off the waist. It's these small things, but these small things over time, if he's happier, he's going to want to work out more, and he's going to want to put more effort in. His energy is up. He'll be able to work out more. And then the big things come as a result of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I must say it's for me, it's really refreshing to hear it, that it's you're treating it as a holistic approach and trying to, as you say, and you're actually including those things in with those people, because you said it yourself, there's no point having the six pack or hitting that PB if there's something kind of missing and you're still kind of feeling unhappy or that. So it's really kind of like, it's refreshing to hear that you take that approach, and I think that's a really positive thing you do for your clients. Going back into the point where you said about the happiness piece then. So, because we looked at sort of the health, I'm interested in the sense of, you chose the word happiness as one of the things that's important to you. Tell me a bit more what you mean by happiness. What does that mean to you?
Happiness to me is being happy in myself. Again, for the mental health sort of thing, it's anxiety levels are nice and calm, nice and relaxed. I basically check in with myself every week as well. Like I do exactly what I do with my clients, with myself. And I just, so I more or less score myself as well on relationships. Am I being that bit more social? Am I being too obsessive about my work? Now I can obsess about it a bit, but it's a little healthy obsession, to be honest. And it's something I actually absolutely love doing as well. So it's not too bad. But at the same time, we check in financial, my relationships, my physical health, how I'm feeling in general. And then if I'm ticking them boxes, I'm going to feel great. And that's what I do. And you know what I mean? Because I see success as being defined, is a quote, success is defined by happiness in life. So I feel very happy right now. So very successful.
That's awesome. And it's really interesting. I love it, because this is hopefully what we get from these conversations. So you actually do almost, like you said, like a weekly check-in with yourself. And is it the same sort of questions that you ask yourself that you would ask your clients then?
Yeah, but again, it's specific to me.
Sure.
But it will be similar questions. And I'd make tweaks the week after just to change things if and where needed,
I was going to say, and if the scenario comes up when you kind of do those check-ins and maybe the score is a little bit lower than you would hope it to be, what do you do next? How do you then the following week? Is there anything you change or alternate to sort of bring that score back up?
Yeah, I give myself that little bit of a kick up the ass where I need it. You know what I mean? I'm not scared to give myself, right, okay, that is low. And to be honest with myself, you're not contacting your mates. You could have gone here and you didn't because time management was a little maybe all over the place that week, things like that. So I am more than happy to, but I got to be honest with myself, just as I ask the clients to be honest with me. And that's how we get it done.
I love that. It's kind of like it's a no nonsense way of sort of holding yourself to account.
Yeah, it's accountability, and that's the whole point of the check-in. Like, I've got the MyFitnessPal app as well, which I'd recommend to anyone. And what you can do in that is you can take check-in I take the pictures every week. I've been doing that since January as well. My weight's there, and then I come into my little office in here and do that weekly check-in as well. So yeah, it's tough love as well, and it's got to be done. It's got to be done for your own. Like, if you're not scoring yourself week on week, if you're not checking in with yourself, how happy you are, I'm not feeling great. Why aren't you feeling great? Oh, I'm feeling a bit low on energy. Oh, sleep's been down though, about half the week. Well, that's probably the main reason. So
it can be the answers for maybe while you're feeling a bit off can be quite obvious if you're willing to ask yourself those questions.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, years gone by, I would have been, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling low. Why is this? Have I got depression? Have I got this? Have I got that? But then I'd look at it now and I was thinking, was I getting 7+ hours of sleep every night?
Yeah.
No. Was I going on the lash every weekend? Yes. Was I feeling like death till about Wednesday? Yes. And it must be depression. No, man, it's your habits, your lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting point in that, because and I think, because I was listening to a podcast recently, and it's a really good one. I'd suggest anyone's listening to this. If you like this type of stuff, listen to Stephen Bartlett, The Diary of a CEO. He's really interesting. And one of the guests he had recently was Piers Morgan. And I wouldn't necessarily be a huge fan of Piers Morgan, but I think it was still an interesting one to listen to. And he was trying to, and one of the things he brought up, and I'm still trying to think, I'm thinking about this. He was, and I'm just meaning to say this because I think it's an interesting point. He was trying to talk about mental health and mental illness as separate things. And he's not saying that either one of them don't exist, but that maybe they're blurred a little bit. And it reminded me of what you said there in the sense of looking after your mental health is obviously crucially important. And if you are suffering from mental illness, obviously you need that support and need to be talking to someone. But what you just explained there, in a sense of like, you were trying to think, did I have depression? Was I, when you reflect back, was like your mental health was maybe suffering, but because of the habits and the behaviors you were doing.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's okay. Some people possibly born with mental illnesses, and then mental health is, everyone's got mental health. Everyone's got mental health.
Completely.
Some people probably have to look after it more than others, just in the same way with diet. Some people have to watch it more than others.
Sure.
So, and if you're not on top of it, it's going to go out. And it doesn't mean you have depression. It means, right, I got to look at myself. I got to score myself in these areas and work from there and see it change.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. It's really interesting to think back on. And when you look back, because obviously for those people who are listening, myself and Barry, we have a history in the sense of we both used to work in a previous life in very different occupations in a financial services world. If we go back to that sort of place, is that when you were kind of maybe not looking after yourself as much? Was it kind of an age thing? Was it just, in your 20s and your 30s? What was the point in time that you were kind of maybe not looking after yourself as much?
It comes with maturity as well. You know what I mean? You do cop on, the penny will drop eventually.
Yeah.
That was taking me a long time, but I'm getting there. The bank job, for one, definitely wasn't looking after myself as I should.
Sure.
Then again, younger, I was probably worse, but I was happier, definitely happier when I was younger. I don't know, it's important. People think, my job is, the job pays the bills, whatever, it's great, but it's literally 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. For us as well, it was a lot of Saturdays as well.
Yeah.
And if you're not happy during 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then half the day on Saturday, that's the majority of your week.
Yeah.
You're not happy the majority of your week. That's a big issue.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what we're seeing. Obviously, there's a huge flux and change at the moment to do with people's careers because of just coming out of COVID and the pandemic. And then obviously lots of people, I think, in similar situations to ourselves, who were able to maybe leave careers on good terms, and then, good, essentially, financial situations, should we put it that way, like, that we could try things differently. So, and it's one of the things, because it's we're both in the sense of similar, in the sense of we've transitioned into completely different careers. So I know, and I knew for years, obviously, that fitness in the gym was a huge part of your life. So what's it like now, being able to sort of actually try and have a crack at this for you and work in that fitness industry?
It's a dream, basically. It's something I wanted to do, and it's something I wanted to do from a very young age. But the problem was, I let other people's opinions dictate what I wanted to do. I started out, actually, I filled out the CAO twice.
Right.
I put all business, I put all sports courses first, and then I put all business courses, and there was a big row at home with mom and dad, the usual. Oh, you can't be doing that, you'll get no jobs and that. The usual, it's just typical. Parents just want the best for you and go, they just want to see you happy in your regular 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I started out doing business in German in UC or Trinity.
Right.
And that just wasn't for me. Like, I did like the German, I'm quite good at German, I still speak a bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of it I didn't like at all. So I left that, and then I took a year out, then went back and did sports management in UCD.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then to go from there, again, it was all my mates were working 9 to 5s. I was working on job minimum wage, long hours. I had Tuesday and Wednesdays off. Oh, that's great. But all my mates were off. And they were like, oh, why don't you get a 9 to 5? Everyone was so it did.
Yeah.
And then it was just working in the banks and not being happy doing what I was doing. And then COVID hit, you had time to think and reflect on your choices and the consequences of it. I was like, right, it's now or never, really.
Yeah.
Make a change. And now to be working in the industry I more or less, I say I obsess about it, but it's just on my mind 24/7.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. I'm constantly upskilling, doing new courses. Every day is a learning day, basically.
Love that. Yeah.
Whether it's YouTube, whether it's going on mentorships, chatting with other colleagues of mine down in FBT and Coolock. It's just every day is a learning day.
Yeah.
And it's what I love doing. Absolutely love it. So it's a privilege, really. So
I love that, because I think I saw it, maybe it was in the last month, I think I seen on your socials that you'd attended a new sort of course or a new upskilling training or something. So and you just mentioned it there. So how important to you is it that you continue to sort of do that, in the sense of that learning and upskilling and staying on top of what's coming along?
Massive. You have to constantly evolve. Like, you have to learn. I'm far from the finished product. I really need to. I'm looking to upskill myself all the time. It's just, and the industry itself is constantly evolving. Like, you don't want to be ignorant to new things that come down the line. So or else you'd be looked on as a dinosaur. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and at the same time, it's something that I enjoy to do. To go on these courses, to learn. So I'm loving that.
That's deadly. I want to actually, before we move on, because I want to just touch on the point that you said there. It's definitely I get the same feedback, and I'd say from people I work with or people I've worked with previously. And I think it's a human trait, and it's so common, is the whole thing of other people's opinions. stopping you of what you want to do. I've got a couple of questions on that, but how did you get to the point where you were kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to do this regardless of what anyone thinks? What was the thing? What was it? Can you remember the moment, or what was it was going on in your head? You're like, well, feck it, I'm doing this, I don't care.
It was working from home basically during the lockdowns, and I had done a nutrition cert actually just before the lockdowns and finished it early on. It seems like 10 years ago now. It's probably about 2.5 years ago. And then it was just working from home. Even I thought I'd love that. Oh, this is going to be great. I was like, I live on my own at home as well. So people talk, oh, I'm in isolation. It's horrible. It's this. There's no crack. But like, talk about living on your own in isolation. It was absolutely like minus crack.
Yeah.
So I had so much time to think. And I was listening to so many podcasts at the time, like Stephen Bartlett, is it?
Bartlett,
yeah, that's the latest one of mine. But I was listening to the High Performance podcast.
Yeah.
Brian Keane and them guys as well.
Yeah.
And it just gave me the inspiration to go, you know what, like life's too short.
Yeah.
To be doing something you don't want to do.
For sure.
Let's go do it. It's either now or never. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have the redundancy there as well. So go for it.
Yeah, no, I love it. It is that there has to come that point, as you say, and it's the whole thing of going after something that you enjoy, you love, and you say, and I think because you said it a couple times in sense of obsession, but I don't think it's a bad word when it's such a positive thing. You know what I mean, for you and then the people you're working with. So I think you have to be kind of in it and want to do it, because I think if you don't show up with that sort of real sort of desire, want, passion, whatever your word is, your client's going to see right through you. They're going to know you're essentially you're just there for the paycheck. You're not really interested in them, you know. So I think that sort of level of just absolute, you're all in it is definitely required in what you're trying to do there. So I love that. And you have to, do you find that, actually, that's the other question I want to ask about that whole thing of people's opinions. Do you find you have to challenge that with your clients? Because if I reflect back on years ago, when I got back into sort of looking after my own health and fitness, and I kind of went through a big sort of like fitness change and weight loss and all that sort of stuff. And I went more, instead of the gym route, I went into endurance sports and stuff. So equally as crazy, quote unquote, what people do. Do you have to deal with that with clients who are trying to come in and think, I'm going to get fit, and they have to deal with that other opinions of people?
Yeah, definitely. It's a case of I'd ask them, would you mind if I shared something on social media? Would you mind if I put this picture up or that video? And if like I do, I started actually doing meditations to an extent.
Yeah.
And breath work and yoga down. There's a crew that do it down the beach there, and we mates would be like, oh, you know, I'd love to do that, but you know what they'll say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's they? Are they're your good mates, and they're just gonna slag it, and you're gonna be worried about like what they say? Like, are you really gonna, as I said, life's too short. Are you gonna look back in your life when you're 90 or whatever, the nurse at home, and go, wish I would have did that, but he didn't do that because I was afraid to get slagged.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my outlook on that, to be honest.
Yeah. I love that. This is an interesting one, I think, question. I think it was come across how clear the sort of importance of the gym and the fitness industry is to you. But is there something outside of that has a bigger part, or is just a bigger part to play in it? It's like a lot of people go to the gym as their sort of release, or how they keep calm. Is there something else that pulls you away, or another interest that's as important to you?
As in interest and hobbies?
Yeah, exactly. Is there hobbies? Is there reading? Is there music? Is there a particular band or author or anything that you kind of just completely different to the gym side of stuff?
People will laugh at this, and I do sound like I'm old now, but like for me, Oasis and the Stone Roses, those types of bands, they're still on the playlist. Music is a big part. I got a digital piano during lockdown as well. I'm classically trained to grade 5. So yeah, I got that during lockdown. I got an app, MuseScore, I think it is, and I download music from it. That's brilliant. The guitar as well.
Deadly.
A big Liverpool fan, as you know, but really is that's taken a back seat now compared to the fitness. Between VAR coming in and that attempted break to the Super League and stuff like that, you just you see what it's all, as much as the clubs try and have that connect with the fans, that connection is just going and going and going. It's further and further away. It's all about money. But I am going to Liverpool next weekend actually for the final, for a bit of an ease up.
Very good. No, I think it's go on.
Reading as well as another, and I'm always looking at books, whether more or less self-development as well these days over fiction.
For sure.
Do love a good book.
Love it. No, I think it's interesting. I think it's that thing of like, we change, and I think that's the acceptance of things have changed. Things that were more important to us in the past, like say for myself, we've got to touch on the football. I'm a Newcastle United fan, and if I go back sort of 10, 15 years, I would have never missed a game on telly. I would have literally arranged my life around getting the matches and stuff like that. And I think it's just shifted, and things, they just were, they're not as important now as they previously were. And I think that's a lot of things sometimes that people, from my experience, they think, if I give this up, am I losing some sort of identity? Am I losing some of myself, as opposed to maybe seeing this as an option to grow and to do something different, and just knowing that, it's not you're still you can carry on. It's just maybe not, there's different things in your life that are different importance at different times.
Yeah, for sure. Like the whole football thing, like God, I was mad Liverpool, especially growing up when I was younger. I'd get into rows with people over football, you know what I mean?
For sure.
I'd cry when Liverpool lost. Oh, I was terrible. But as the years have gone on, I'd fall in and out a lot. I say, like a fair weather fan, you're only hopping on now when they're good again, but I still forget to watch games. Like I'd get the text, you're watching the game. I'm like, what game's this? You know what I mean? And I'd almost feel embarrassed, but then I laugh it off and go, whatever, because I'd be busy. I'd be busy doing check-ins. I'd be doing busy writing up programs, stuff that's important to me. Because again, we say, bringing it back to mortality and that stuff, don't want to be boring and bring the tone down, but life is so short. And
for sure,
those games are 90 minutes long. The talking and all that crap before and after, you're talking about 2 hours. And if you're not being entertained for 2 hours, you're just getting pissed off watching crap. These millionaire footballers diving around the place. I'm like, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, well, and exactly, you say, and you just said it, and the whole point of I love the conversation is like, I could be more important to you is like, I could be writing people's programs, I could be doing my own check-ins, I could be checking in with my clients, or I could be reading something that's going to take me to another level, upscale, whatever it is. The importance of what you do now is just beating everything. So I love that. You said one earlier as we were in the conversation, and I think this is, I like this one because I do them quite a bit. There was a quote you said earlier about success and happiness. Can you remember what it was? Is it
Yeah, success is defined by happiness in life.
Love it.
You know what I mean? And that to me is like, success for me isn't driving around in a big fancy car wearing all fancy labels. Now, I do a bit of online shopping. I love my retro football jerseys, but like, people laugh at me for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, what are you wearing, old clothes or football jerseys? Who cares? But like, I'm not. You'll never see me out, in some big fancy car. Like an aim for me isn't to buy a fucking Rolex, or you know what I mean, to have that flashy life. It's the small things in life. If I'm happy, if I'm able to pay my bills, still doing the job I'm doing, I'm happy out.
Yeah. And are there any other, what I really want to know is there any other sort of quotes or sayings and stuff that you use as a sort of like either just as a motivation or a guide or inspiration to yourself? Because I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people on social media. I love putting a quote out. Is there anything else that you find that's useful to you?
Can't think off the top of my head.
Or is there any?
Try thinking in my Instagram. We do throw the odd one
in
there.
Yeah. Or if it's not a quote, are there any sort of people, would it be like that you kind of have influenced you over the last sort of year or so when you've really gone into the industry? Are there any sort of people you look up to, or the way that they do certain things that's kind of brought you on or elevated you?
Oh, definitely. There's people on the podcast I listen to. Of course, James Dean's podcast is the best one around, but
good man yourself.
The High Performance podcast is inspiration central.
Okay.
And that is what I use through lockdown. Also another one, I was on the course with M10, Mark Coles, very inspirational man, great leader. The group there, the crew in general, are really top guys. Also, Dorian Yates recently, I was at a seminar with him, six-time Mr. Olympia.
I've seen that show on you, yeah,
and
very good.
I've really deep dived into his stuff the last while, and he's my most recent, and I love it. You know what I mean? He always talked about being different when he was younger, but not basically giving a shit what people thought and do it. He did his own thing. Yeah. And again, he didn't have a big fancy gym to work out of. He was in an absolute sweatbox, an awful gym in Birmingham. It was underground somewhere. And he, took the bodybuilding world by storm, won Mr. Olympia 6 times. It was just a phenomenal achievement. And he just did his own thing, blocked out the noise basically. So again, he's massive for me right now.
Yeah. Because I think I saw you. What was the crowd that you said that you did before Mr. Olympia? Can you just say them again? M10 was
M10.
it? M10, yeah. And you said about the person there that you work with. What's, because I like to sort of work with people who you kind of think if they're ahead of you where you are, they're where you want to be, in a sense of like they've done a little bit and you're trying to kind of, whether it be catch them or they're trying to bring you along. How important is it for you to have those people in the industry that are willing to kind of pull you along with you or pull you up even?
Oh, it's very important, because even part of that group, we still have that group now. We've got a WhatsApp group. So we even share our wins in the group, discuss client issues. If I've got an issue with a client, again, I don't know everything, but I can help them with issues they may have. They may be able to help me with issues I have. Some of them are real, like absolute wizards. And even the guys in M10 are very talented themselves, and I can still ask them questions myself. Even some of my colleagues in FBT and Coolock are brilliant as well. They're more experienced than I am. They might have different ideas as well. So we can run stuff by each other and go, how about you try this, try that? That's really important. Like in life in general, you just, as much as you want to do things your own way, do it like, do it yourself. You need help from somebody.
Completely agree. And I think
you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And it's such a huge point. I think there's because obviously similar in a sense, both of us are trying to, in some ways, make it as individuals, as sort of self-employed or startup businesses or business owners. And so you kind of want to have that autonomy to kind of live and die by your own decisions type thing. That's where, for me anyway, I kind of wanted to have that bit more control and not be sort of the employee anymore. I wanted to see if I could give it a go. But in the same sense, there's a quick realization is like, but you don't have to do everything on your own. There's more than enough people who will absolutely help you if you just ask the question.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about asking people. And that's the thing I say to my clients. If you don't know, just please ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think people just have that bit. They're worried of thinking, oh, I sound like an idiot now. I sound like I'm stupid for asking the question. You're not. You're stupid if you don't ask the question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you find in a room, like you could be at a seminar and you go, any questions? And at the first part, it'd be silent, you know, tumbleweed. Then someone asks, and then it just snowballs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That first person, say that, you know, the first bird to fly gets all the arrows kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's it. You gotta be brave as well. You know what I mean? It's a sign of strength as well to say, no, I don't know. Would you mind helping me here? You know what I mean? I even, as I say, like that's what I use those groups for. You know what I mean? I don't know everything, so that's why I ask them. And even with my clients, 99 times out of 100, I've answers for their questions straight up. But that one time, I'll just have to say, I don't know right now. I'll find out for you and get back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Yeah, because there was, I can't remember where I heard it from. It could have been sort of, I think it's probably from Tony Robbins, I think, one of his sort of speeches or something I listened to. And one that reminds me of when we're thinking about that, scared to ask the question, or we're that going back to what will people think of, you know, if I say this or do this. And I'm going to paraphrase, I think, this, but he said, like, there's not one thought that you've had or you have that someone hasn't had or is having right now. Because when you think, oh, I'm the only person who could think like this, or I'm the only person who doesn't know that, or I'm the only person who thinks in a certain way, it immediately closes you off and immediately makes you isolate yourself, because you think, well, I can't possibly say this because no one has ever experienced this before. But the truth is, this, you say in that seminar room that you just said, if there's 100 people in there, probably half of them are either thinking the exact same thing or something that's very close to it. So it's the bravery, as you said, to just get it out there. And everyone turns around and goes, oh, I was thinking the same thing. So it's the sort of like breaking that sort of internal monologue and just say it out loud. It get you much further along.
Yeah, that's it. You just got to be brave, put the hand up. It's like in life in general. You know what I mean? It's, if you need help with anything, people say, oh, if you need any help, just ask. And they don't mean it. But that's
but you got, for sure.
Yeah, but you should ask. Like, you've got your circle, like a close circle of friends or confidence to rely on. If you've got queries, just ask. There's nothing like, you know, it's like, I don't know, when people are in hard times and stuff happens, like, oh, but he seems so great, everything seems fine. Obviously, you just need to reach out to people in any form of life, in work or whatever. You know what I mean? You know yourself, in the bank, myself and yourself used to train a lot of new entrants in.
Yeah.
The worst thing to do is if you saw a ton of mistakes the next day and they're sat across from you and you're like, they didn't ask me any questions.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just like, please just ask me them all day. I'm happy to answer them. I'd rather do that than having to correct everything every day.
Yeah, because I think it's that thing of being wanting to, you know, ask the questions so you can find out. And then this is you just made me think of this question there now. Like, the other thing I think is predominant in a sense of what I see when working people, or prevent them from doing something, is that fear of also failure. Do you see that in a sense of when you're working with people?
In what sense? Me failing is...
No, so them as, you know, maybe why they're reluctant to join you as a client, or, you know, why they didn't go to the gym previously. You know, are they seen to, they don't want to be seen to get it wrong, they don't want to seem to be, you know, be the newbie as such. You know, they don't know how to do the lift, or they don't know how to look after the, you know, that whole thing of like, oh, I wouldn't do that because of the whole you know, what if it goes wrong type thing. You know, do you come across that much?
Yeah, but it's almost an ego thing. And
I
don't think, I'm not saying my clients are, possible clients are egotistical, but it's a thing in your mind where you're coming to some, like a few of my clients have possibly let themselves go over COVID and got way out of shape, and I hadn't been in contact with them that for, I don't know, maybe a couple of years really, or seen them. And then they turn up and they're almost a little embarrassed and ashamed. They're like, oh, you know what I mean? Oh, it's easy for you, Baz, you're blah, 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 blah. And it's, what was I trying to say? It's just basically saying, look, I don't understand. I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? You know what I mean? Because I had my own coaches up to a few years ago myself. And I've been training on and off for years and years. But I said I was on and off, weekend on the gargle most of the time, bad habits, stuff like that. So it's that asking for help and saying, look, I know I'm doing something wrong. I know I could need help here. You know much more than me. Can we do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. That's the way, really.
Yeah, as you say, it's been just that it goes back to the thing of one of the things I think the list just chatting with now is having that sort of whether it be willingness, bravery, courage to just reach out, and just, you don't know what will happen if you know the positives that could come out from just reaching out to someone and getting your questions answered. Huge.
Yeah, it's massive, and it's a case of a lot of people are actually scared to go into gyms as well, and that's something that is difficult for me because I was never that way.
Yeah,
I loved it. From day one I loved it. Now I was doing things arse ways when I was really young, and if anyone came over and showed me, I'd get all embarrassed. I'd be red faced. I'd be yeah, thanks, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? And because I'm kind of aware of that now when I'm helping people around the gym as well. But the majority of people I do help are actually very appreciative of it.
Yeah,
and then I get chatting to them, give them tips, and a lot of them have actually become clients.
Yeah.
But a lot of people still are that little bit apprehensive or worried about stepping into the gym because they've got a preconceived notions of what it is and what it's like, and that people are looking at them and judging them. And like, again, it's other people's opinions. Like the majority, like nobody's judging you. In between sets, they're probably flicking on their phones. They're not looking at you.
Yeah.
So just go do it.
Yeah. No, it's a massive one. That sort of, I think in so many things of people who are scared to take on things, and the gym is definitely one of those. Or it could be, as you said earlier in the conversation, the wanting to go do yoga on the beach or Pilates. They want to, because they have this perception in their heads, or if I do that, someone is going to look at me or judge me in a certain way. And the same thing, I've had those. And the thing is, like, to say that, like, none of us are immune to this. Like, we've all had those experiences, thinking, oh, everyone's looking at me in a different situation. But the truth is, like, when I've had those situations myself, they're genuinely not. And if there is someone who is looking at you and they are judging you, they're not nothing, like, they're not a person you'd want to ever be with or know. So you just know to stay away from them 100%.
Yeah, and that's bang on, and it's a case of and you wouldn't want to know them, like that person is absolutely, like, they don't come into the picture at all, like,
completely.
But it's a case of why I do yoga and I started the meditations because I was terrible at it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I actually forgot to say. It's like, you got to feel comfortable being shit at something for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be great, so be comfortable being terrible for so long, and then you got to get better. So it's like another one of mine is actually try to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's one of them, actually. Get out of your comfort zone is another. They're all kind of comfort based.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, you just got to get comfortable, because that's why I took up the yoga, because it's the benefits of it. My flexibility, mobility was terrible. Like, even through the lockdowns, every hour or so I was getting out in my backyard and I was marching around, swinging those arms, doing full mobility routines all the time. It was hilarious. Like, what my mobility's come on a lot since.
Yeah.
And I was even putting some of it up on Instagram. I'm sure people were getting a great laugh, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's funny, like, I was actually out on the road one day and I was putting out the bins or something, and some little girl came up to me and she goes, "Hey, mister, are you able to do this one?" And she was throwing her arms up over her head, and her and her mate were laughing. And I laughed. Like, I go, that's comic. That's brilliant. There must be a neighbor down the road and they're watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, the neighbors, they're laughing at you now. I was like, I couldn't give a shit, man.
Yeah.
But
I love it. No, you're right. It's that thing of get comfortable being uncomfortable, and it's what you said. Like, it's like embrace. It's one of those things. It's like embrace being the beginner. It's like people can so quickly quit on something because they don't get it like that. Like, they want the instant sort of result, the instant sort of a gratification or whatever, and it's like it's a process. It's just enjoy the process. Just be in it, and it's something to learn, something to change. It's just enjoy just being, as opposed to thinking you've got to have that, be an expert immediately.
Yeah, and it's yoga, like, is a massive one for lads as well. Like, I don't know how many people can actually champion at this stage. Like, Ryan Giggs was a massive one. He said it prolonged his playing career by about 10 years.
Yeah.
He used to have hamstring injuries all the time. And then he started yoga, and then all the injuries stopped.
Yeah.
And like, that still isn't enough for guys to do yoga.
I know.
People with serious issues, they won't do yoga. It's like,
it's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, if we can't bend, we break.
Yeah.
And people break up on a regular basis. And if you're chasing goals in the gym and you're constantly getting injured, how about a bit of yoga? Definitely help.
Very good. So it's been great to chat to you, Barry. I have one more question for you before we finish up, and that is, what do you think is going to be important for your future? Whether that future could be the next week or could be the next year. What do you think is the most important thing for you?
Important for me is to keep growing. You know what I mean? If we have this conversation, which it would be great if we did in a year's time, and if I was still the same person, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Get it?
That wouldn't be a bad thing. I think I'm a grand lad, but no, if you shouldn't beat it. Like you say, no man walks into the river. Was it twice? It comes out the same man. Same person walks it. I cut off that one arseways. Yeah, I think so. But if I am the exact same person as I am today, next year, that wouldn't be ideal, I'd say, because I'm definitely not the same person I was a year ago or 2 years ago, which I'm proud of. And then just get this business flourishing as well. Like, it's going really well at the moment, so just want to kick on with that as well. So
love it, man. I love that. Yeah, I love that for the growth is so huge, important. I love that to grow by this time next year. Absolutely. And all going well, we will be doing that first anniversary catch up next year, and we'll test that theory. I mean, it's been that'd be great. It's been brilliant to chat to you, Barry. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, can you just we'll make sure everything is typed up and shared, but if you want to give your details of where people can find you, how they can get in touch with you, you can shout it all out now as well.
Thanks, James. Yeah, it's at built by Barry _ at Instagram, and Barry McGuire on Facebook. Hopefully coming to LinkedIn soon. I still have that old profile that needs updating, but
awesome.
You can get me there as well.
Brilliant stuff. And we'll make sure all those details are shared in the show notes as well. Barry, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, mate. Thank you so much, and best of luck for everything.
Lovely. Thanks for being, James. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to What's Important to You. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share.
And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Again, you can follow me at James Dean Coaching on Facebook and Instagram. Connect with me on LinkedIn or find out more about me on jamesdeancoaching.com.